Hey everyone, Bassman Strikes here. So what I'm going to show you how to build is that Czech Airlift for an under gravel filter. So you can see it there, that's the black thing in the back. And that's made from CPVC, 3/4 inch, and a 1 inch CPVC coupler, right? That's in the bottom there. We're going to use the coupler to make an air chamber. And there's no airstone involved, but you do need to drill with the smallest possible drill bit you can find. And what we'll do is I'm going to build this for this 10-gallon tank here, which I just rescaped. Well, it's not quite rescaped yet, but I got rid of the safety Zorb and the black diamond in here because it was just terrible. So inside here is just one of those cheap Plenplax under gravel filters, but what I did is I drilled out the where the cheap tubes go. I drilled it out with a step bit, and right now that's just a plug in there. And then we use a slip fit 3/4 inch CPVC to 3/4 inch NPT threads, and then there's a 3/4 inch bulkhead that you just secure to the hole that you drilled in the plate. And yeah, that's all there is to it. And you can make some really nice uplift tubes that don't have an airstone to block the flow, and then you can adjust the flow as strong or weak as you want. So that's what we're gonna do. So let's go over to the workbench and we'll get going. All right, everyone, we're back over at the workbench, and so I'm going to show you what we're going to need to build this Czech Airlift uplift tube for your under gravel filter. First thing you'll need is this, a 1 inch CPVC coupler, right? And it just so happens that 3/4 inch pipe fits in here perfect. And what you do is you drill a hole, not quite in the middle, just above the middle, and these things are 2 inches, so probably about 3/4 of an inch. It doesn't have to be exact, but what we're going to do is this is going to be a pressure chamber. All right, so you need that. I'm not going to show you how to drill a hole. People know how to drill holes. You just drill it big enough, for this T to fit in there, and you cut it, just so it barely fits in there, and you super glue it. Okay, that's pretty simple. The next thing you need is this NPT 3/4 inch adapter to slip fit 3/4 inch PVC, right? So we're going to glue that in there when it's all done. And then a section of 3/4 inch pipe, however long you want it. And you can make it as tall or as short as you want. Okay? So, like I said before, the coupler is 2 inches. So what you want to do is you want to measure, the first line is to where you're going to have this glue into. Okay? The second line is where your coupler starts. The middle one is the 1 inch mark. You can see I've marked at 1 inch, and that's the 2 inch mark. So we got the markings there. And what happens is we're going to use O-rings, and we're going to put that just like that. And then because it's on O-rings, you can adjust it, right? And we're going to drill holes, tiny holes all the way around the center part here, using 5mm graph paper as a guide. Okay? So the next thing we want, if you have a miter saw, you need to cut a bunch of 1 inch slivers, right? This is from 1 inch pipe. So if we take a couple of these out, you'll need 4 of them for each pressure chamber. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a O-ring containment system, right? So see how nice that fits in there? Okay. So remember, this is slivers from 1 inch pipe, and this is a 1 inch coupler. The next thing we want is a size 212 O-ring. You can get black, red, whatever color you want. Just size 212. Alright, so you need 2 of these. So what you do is you put your sliver in here. Just like that. You put your O-ring, and then push it down. Get another sliver. Push it down, just so it's flush. Alright, so notice how that O-ring is now contained in there. So what we want to do, make sure that's flush, and then push everything together. Right, it should be pretty good. Just make sure, go like that. Make sure it's all nice and sandwiched in there. Alright. Then what you do is you take out your top one. You take out the O-ring, just like so. And now what you're going to do is we're going to super glue this bottom one in. Okay, so what you do take some super glue, right, and just, because it's not quite a super tight fit, so it'll wick into there. So what you do is put your super glue in there and just get it all the way around the entire circumference. All right, just like that. And then do the same thing for the other side. So you do the exact same thing on this side. And then after that dries, we'll use, for the outer containment ring, we'll use CPVC glue. That's this stuff here. It's really stinky, so you gotta do it real fast. And we'll just put it along the edge here. We'll put our O-ring in after that's dry and just push it all down. And then what happens is you just slide it over here, right to there. And then you have your holes here. And then what happens is when you apply air, it pushes it through all these little holes that we're gonna drill here, which we'll get to in a second. So we'll do the other side on this, and then I'll go outside on the drill press. And I'm gonna use this graph paper. I don't know if you can see it, but it's 5mm graph paper. And so what we'll do is we'll cut a strip and we'll tape it on here, and we'll use this as a guide to drill the holes. And we're going to use a really small drill bit. I'll show you those in a second. So let's finish this other O-ring containment thing. Push that in. Let's get another O-ring, just like so. Push it in like this, just like we did before. And you want to keep your rings together for which side, because they're not all perfectly, you know, the exact same size. I couldn't get them all exactly the same size. So anyway, let's do the same thing on this side. Push it all in. All right, so you can see how that O-ring is contained. And this is key, because then we can put a little bit of silicone grease on there, or Vaseline, whatever you want. And once it's all dry, you can slide this on there. You position it, right? And then you can adjust it. It just slides real nice and easy, and it works great. This is the best thing ever. All right, so let's make sure we got this flush. Okay, we'll take this one out, take the O-ring out. All right, and then we're going to apply our super glue. All right, you just have to get a little bit in there and just kind of get it in that crevice there, and it'll wick in, and just let it dry. All right, that's all you got to do. So let this dry, and we're almost complete with that part. All right, so the next part, hold on, I got to go get my scissors. I'll be right back. All right, everyone, I'm back. So I just used the scissors, and I cut out a small piece of the grid paper. So I don't know if you can see it, these grid lines are pretty light. So, but what I did is I went 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we used the center one to line up on our pipe, and we're going to make 3 holes. Okay, so I'm going to mark with the Sharpie here. If I can find my Sharpie. Hold on, I'll be right back. I gotta get my Sharpie. All right, everyone, I'm back. So what I did is I marked on here with the Sharpie. So what you want to do is you're going to have 1, 2, 3 on each line, and then you just do that all the way, you know, around the pipe. Then inside each square you put a hole right in the middle. So that's the pattern you're going to use, and you have to use the smallest drill bit you can possibly find. And I got these at my local Menards, and so the size we're going to use, this will focus. Hold on. Anyway, it's hard. I can't get this to focus, but it is, hold on, 0.5 millimeters. So you want to use the smallest one you can, or the 0.6, either one of those. The 1 millimeter will also work, but it's best to use the smallest ones possible. You just have to be careful with the really small ones. I don't know if it'll focus or not. It's 0.5 millimeters, so it's super tiny. Anyway, this is like $2.99 for this set at Menards. And the thing is, it won't fit in a regular drill chuck. So you have to get one of these little tiny little things here to hold them. You can see that right there. So then what we're going to do is we're going to go in the drill press. And you set it up, and you put the tube in there, right? And you just go all the way around until all those holes are drilled. It doesn't take long, you know, about maybe 2 minutes if that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to tape this on here, just like this, and you line up the center right there with that mark. Right, you just wrap it around so it's straight. All right, just like that, and you tape it. Okay. Then what you do is you just go and punch all those holes with the drill bit. That's the easiest way to do it. And you know, if you have like a real small, they've got those small jeweler drills. You can use those too, and just go bop, 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 and pop your way all through, you know, every single hole. And for these airlift tubes to work the best, you have to have pressure, right? So you want the smallest holes possible. All right. So I'm going to go drill this, and I'll be right back. All right, folks, I'm back. So I drilled all the holes. Didn't take that long. So you can see I taped that graph paper on there, and I just drilled the pattern. So then what we'll do is we'll take this off. All right, so what we're left with is our little tiny hole pattern. All right, so then what you do, take a small piece of sandpaper and just sand the holes. And just kind of just blow like that to clear out the dust. All right, so I'm going to do that. I'll be right back. All right, folks, so that's it. That's all you have to do. Inside, you might want to take like a flat tip screwdriver or something and just scrape off the little, see the inside there where the drill bit came through? Just scrape those off. That's all you got to do. All right, so this thing's almost done. So once your O-ring things are done, you just slide it on, just like that. So the center of the holes is on the center of this, and then with the O-rings you can just twist it like this to adjust it after you get it on. All right, so what we're going to do next, we're going to permanently attach this. All right, so we're going to use the glue. You gotta do this quick because this stuff is really smelly, and we're not dealing with water here, so it doesn't have to be perfect. So what you want to do is just put this stuff on until it kind of, you know, this is a solvent glue, right? So when you see the lettering and stuff starting to, you know, go away, just like that, and then do a little bit on the inside too. Put the cap back on because this stuff really stinks. All right. Right to our line, that's it. Now you take a piece of paper towel, wipe off the excess there because the stuff really stinks, and then throw it away. Alright, so wipe off your excess. Give it a little twist. Make sure it's the solvent is doing its thing there. Wipe off any inside here. And this is safe for fish because this is actually used for drinking water. Alright, that's it. This part's done. Now, you can either have it, you know, the bubbles go straight up, or, I'll be right back. If you don't want it to go straight up, just put an elbow with another little piece cut at about a 60-degree angle. And there you go, folks. Here's your custom Czech Airlift uplift tube for under gravel filter. And the great thing about these, no airstone. They work outstanding. And if you make the tiny little holes like this, it makes nice tiny bubbles. It looks like an airstone, but it's not. And because there's no airstone, you get the full diameter of this 3/4 inch pipe. If you put an airstone in here, it kind of almost blocks it, like probably about 85–90%. depending on the size of your airstone, of course. So these things are outstanding. You know, you can make the flow as fast as you want. And when you get this in your tank, you can test it. You hook up your airline and you bring it up just so this is above the surface, and you can just see it. It shoots out a ton of water. These things are awesome. So we're almost done here. So all we have to do is let that super glue dry. I'm probably gonna let it dry for another hour or so. So to finish it off, you put your O-rings in just like this. I'm not gonna glue the outer one yet, but just to give you an idea so I can finish this video, you put your little top containment ring, and you do the same thing here. But then for these top ones, we're going to glue these in with the CPVC glue. And that's it. So now those O-rings will create your pressure chamber. So once it's all done, put a little bit of silicone grease, or a little bit of Vaseline, just something to lube those O-rings. And this will slide right over this, and you position it here. And that's it. And then you can paint it black. And you've got yourself the ultimate under gravel uplift tube. All right. If there's any questions, leave them in the comments. Once you paint it black, it'll blend in nicely. It's super nice. That's all there is to it, folks. And one more look here. This is the finished product. Well, I'm not gonna. But once it's all dry, just like that, and then you screw this onto your bulkhead fitting. And once I paint this black and everything, I'll show it in the tank and how I install it. But that's it for now, folks. All right, Bassman out.